Let's come back to the Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals are a set of 17 goals with 169 associated targets that were adopted in the UN Sustainable Development Summit in September 2015. So you can see that it took quite some time. It took more than 3 years, from 2012, when the Sustainable Development Goals were first proposed, to 2015, when they were finally adopted in New York. The Sustainable Development Goals have one overall objective, and that is to guide rich and poor countries in their pursuit of sustainable development, generating new power and political will, and mobilizing new resources. So the major purpose of these goals is to give countries and governments worldwide an idea of what they can do in order to achieve sustainable development in their countries. And when you have such global goals adopted by all UN member states, that usually generates a lot of power and political will. So political leaders across the world are willing to implement these goals in their own countries. And it also usually mobilizes new resources like social resources and academic resources. For academic resources, we can say that researchers at universities or at independent research institutes usually orient themselves using global goals of the United Nations, such as the Sustainable Development Goals, when they design their research and also when they ask for financial support from donors. So let's quickly go through the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Goal number 1 is to end poverty in all its forms everywhere. You can see that this picks up where the Millennium Development Goals have ended. Remember that Goal 1 of the Millennium Development Goals was to reduce poverty by 50%. Now the Sustainable Development Goals are even more ambitious, saying that poverty should be ended in all its forms everywhere. What you can see already here is that the Sustainable Development Goals do not only address environmental issues, but also more broad human development issues. However, as you will see, as we go through the different goals, environmental issues have a much larger emphasis here than in the Millennium Development Goals. Goal number 2 is to end hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Goal 2 is partly similar to goal number 1 as it talks about basic needs of people. Ending poverty, like ending hunger, giving people enough to eat and enable them to have a good nutrition. But it also talks about sustainable agriculture. Sustainable agriculture, on the one hand, is important because it should be sustainable in a way that it gives people food over a long period of time. But sustainable development, sustainable agriculture, is also very much related to environmental issues, because sustainable agriculture is agriculture which reduces environmental degradation. Usually we have a lot of negative effects of agriculture on the environment, like having chemical pesticides used and so on. And sustainable agriculture tries to reduce that, thereby having a positive effect both on the environment, but also, of course, on ending hunger and achieving food security, because it should still be able to give people enough to eat. Goal number 3 is to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. So this goal emphasizes the need for health in our populations. Goal number 4 is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So education is the clear focus of this goal. And goal number 5 is to achieve gender equality and to empower all women and girls. So this is about giving women and girls the same opportunities that men and boys have in their lives in general, in their education, in their opportunity to find a well-paid job, and so on. Goal number 6 is to ensure the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. As you know, water is restricted. The available of water is limited in many countries, including Thailand. So this goal focuses on giving people access to enough and to clean water and also to sanitation. Goal number 7 is to ensure the access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. This again touches both human development issues and environmental issues. One target of this goal is to give people access to energy, to enough energy. And this is not always possible. Many countries do face the problem of energy poverty, like not having access to electricity, for example. Another aspect of this goal is the environmental aspect, as it talks about sustainable energy. And this relates to the use of clean energy sources, like solar energy, for example, as opposed to dirty energy sources such as coal, which are having a negative effect on the environment. Goal number 8 is to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. This goal is quite interesting because, as you can see, the Sustainable Development Goals also acknowledge the importance of the economy for our societies, as they emphasize the need for having economic development and the need for providing enough employment opportunities for our populations. Goal number 9 is to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and to foster innovation. Again, this goal focuses on the economic sector of our society. And goal number 10 is to reduce inequality within and among countries. This takes into account the importance to include everyone in our development. In many countries, we have certain parts of our populations which are not as rich and which do not have access to all of those goods and services that other people have. So goal number 10 is to really reduce that inequality between poor and rich people, both within but also between different countries.